குட் டே எவ்ரிவன். வணக்கம் அனைவருக்கும். முதல்ல என்னோட ப்ரெசன்டேஷன் கியூமிக் அப்படின்னா என்ன அப்படின்றத உங்களுக்கு எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணுறதுக்கு ஐ திங்க் நான் யாருன்றதை இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்ணுறது ஐ திங்க் இட்ஸ் மை ரெஸ்பான்சிபிலிட்டி. என் பேர் யோகராம் பிள்ளை. கரண்ட்லி கியூமிக்கோட மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் கம்யூனிட்டி மெம்பராக இருக்கேன். ஆல்சோ அலுமினஸ் ஆஃப் காலேஜ் மிடில் கிளாஸ் கிளாந்தன் and currently pursuing my chemical engineering degree in UKM. Right, let's start off with our presentation. நான் முடிஞ்ச அளவுக்கு எவ்வளோ ப்ரீஃபாக வச்சுக்கணுமோ வச்சுக்கிறேன். ஸோ யூன் பி டூ ட்ராகி பிகாஸ் நம்மளுக்கு இதுக்கப்புறம் இன்னும் நிறைய ஏஜெண்டா இருக்கு. ஸோ யா ரைட். Presentation தெரியுதுல?
Yes, senior.
Okay. All right. All right. Who are we? What is CUMIG? CUMIG அப்படின்னா Concerned New American Graduates. And அதுக்கு கீழே நிறைய கம்யூனிட்டிஸ் இருக்கு. அதில் ஒன்று தான் வந்து மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் ஒர்க்கிங் கம்யூனிட்டி. And what are we doing? அதுக்கு முன்னுக்கு நாங்களாம் யாரு? Basically, whoever under here, under this committee is matriculation leavers. Matriculation படிச்சுட்டு they continue their degree. And now first year இருக்கிறவங்க field expert or graduates who are currently working in particular field industries, be it medicine field or anything, any other fields, okay? Undergraduates like me, personally, who are still studying, pursuing the degree, Bachelor of Chemical Engineering, okay? And third tier is fresh matriculation graduate who have studied in matriculation and who are also studying in matriculation currently. So what are we actually doing? We are trying to share informations that we are a bridge. We are bridging the informations to between from one side to the matriculation students. What type of information? What is the guidance? அப்படின்றது பார்க்கறதுக்கு முன்னுக்கு ஐ திங்க் கியூமிக்கோட வெரி பேசிக் கார் மிஷன் ஆர் ஆப்ஜெக்டிவ்ஸ் 5 இருக்கு, ஆக்சுவலி 6, பட் 5 இஸ் த கார். அண்ட் the 5 அச்சீவ் பண்ணோம்னா அந்த 6th ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக அச்சீவ் பண்ணிடலாம். ஃபர்ஸ்ட், நம்பர் 1, the very core objective is reduce education depth in our Indian community. Number 2, diploma as minimum qualification. Number 3, more participation in civil service. நம்ம இந்தியன் கம்யூனிட்டி சிவில் சர்வீஸ்லையும் பார்ட்டிசிபேஷன் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்றது கியூமிக்கோட கோ ஆப்ஜெக்டிவ். நம்பர் 4, மினிமம் 4 லாங்குவேஜ். நம்மளுக்கு வந்து நம்ம மலேசியாவில் இருக்கனால தமிழ், மலே, இங்கிலீஷ் இது நம்மளுக்கு நல்லாவே தெரியும். அடிஷ்னலாக ஒரு லாங்குவேஜ், பி மேண்டரின், ஜாப்பனீஸ் ஆர் ஜெர்மன், எனி லாங்குவேஜ் கற்று வச்சுக்கிறது ரொம்ப நல்லது. Number 5 is achieve 10% of overall seats in IPTA, public universities. Okay, and இதெல்லாத்தையும் அச்சீவ் பண்ணோம்னா we will definitely achieve the high income status group of the community அப்படின்றது தான் கியூமிக்கோட அடிப்படையான objectives, right? And அதுக்கு கீழே கியூமிக் கீழே இந்த அப்ஜெக்டிவ்லாம் அச்சீவ் பண்றதுக்கு மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் கமிட்டி எந்த வகையில ஹெல்ப் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம் அப்படின்னா, these are the agendas throughout the year. This is our annual planning. மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் ஸ்டூடெண்ட் மட்டும் இல்லாமல் மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் போகணும் அப்படின்னு இருக்கக்கூடிய மாணவர்களுக்கும், எஸ்பிஎம்ல ஹை அச்சீவர்ஸ் அண்ட் ஆல்சோ ஸ்கோப்ல இருக்கிற ஒவ்வொரு மாணவர்களுக்கும் மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் எப்படி அன்லாக் பண்ண, மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி எப்படி அன்லாக் பண்ணான்றதுக்கான கைடன்ஸும் சேர்த்து நான் கொடுத்துருக்கோம். ஸோ அதுதான் ஸ்டார்டிங் ஃப்ரம் நம்பர் 1 யூசி மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் அப்ளிகேஷன் கைடன்லேருந்து வீடியோ எப்படி மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் சர்வைவ் பண்றது, வாட் ஆர் த டிப்ஸ் அண்ட் ட்ரிக்ஸ், அண்ட் தென் திஸ் இஸ் மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் சமிட் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு பிளான் பண்ணியிருந்தோம். அண்ட் தென் மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் லீடர்ஸ் கான்ஃபரன்ஸ், வி டூ ரெக்ரூட் மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் project-based guidance, course-based consultation, UPU interview guidance. Because matriculation in the university போகும்போது they will have UPU or application சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு process. அந்த processல critical courses apply பண்ணும்போது medicine, law, um, some other critical courses apply பண்ணும்போது interview சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு requirement process இருக்கும். ஸோ அந்த requirement processக்கு எப்படி ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்றது அப்படின்ற கைடன்ஸும் சரி, ஸ்காலர்ஷிப் ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டிஸ் until employability sharing. ஸோ ஒவ்வொரு கேரியருக்கும் எப்படிப்பட்ட எம்ப்ளாயபிலிட்டி மலேசியாலையும் சரி ஓவர்சீஸ்லையும் இருக்கு அப்படின்றது அந்த மாதிரி இண்டஸ்ட்ரி சம்மந்தப்பட்ட இன்சைட்ஸையும் we are trying to give to the மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் ஸ்டூடெண்ட். மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் ஸ்டூடெண்ட் மட்டும் இல்லாமல் அதர் ப்ரீ யூனிவர்சிட்டியில் இருக்கக்கூடிய ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ்க்கும் இது ரெலவெண்டாக இருந்துச்சுன்னா தென் அஃப்கோர்ஸ் we are ready to guide. Right. These are the previous sessions we have done. I've run through exam marathon சொல்லிட்டு லாஸ்ட் இயர் பண்ணியிருந்தோம் for business subject and pinnacle excellence அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு பண்ணியிருந்தோம். அது வந்து அனுகுரா பிளாஜா டிராஜ் பிளாஜாரன் அந்த ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் அந்த ரெசிபியன்ஸ்லாம் கூப்பிட்டு ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் கைடன்ஸ் அவங்க எப்படி இந்த அனுகுராவை அச்சீவ் பண்ணாங்க அப்படின்ற அந்த ஒரு கைடன்ஸும் சரி பர்டிகுலர் டாபிக்ஸ்லையும் அவங்க வந்து டாக் கொடுத்துருந்தாங்க. திஸ் இயர் வி எக்ஸ்பெக்டட் நெக்ஸ்ட் இயர் வி எக்ஸ்பெக்டட் டு மிட் ஜனவரி ஆர் ஏர்லி ஃபெப்ரவரி. இதுக்கான தகவலையும் உங்களுக்கு வந்து கண்டிப்பாக நாங்கள் கொடுப்போம். ரைட். கன்சல்டேஷன் சீரீஸ் இதோட பேசிக் அப்ரோச் எப்படி இருக்கும்னா லா இதில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா டெக், ஐடி அண்ட் லா இந்த மாதிரி காலேஜஸ்ல யூபியூ அப்ளிகேஷன் பண்ணும்போது என்ன தெரிய வேணும், ஆல்சோ அந்த காஸ்ட்ல எந்த மாதிரியான ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டிஸ் இருக்கு, எதெல்லாம் போய் டேப்பிங் பண்ணலாம் மாணவர்கள் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு நம்ம கைடன்ஸ் கொடுத்தோம். அண்ட் திஸ் இயர் வி எக்ஸ்பெக்டட் நெக்ஸ்ட் இயர் வி எக்ஸ்பெக்ட் and also other guidance sessions நம்ம பண்ணிட்டு தான் இருக்கோம். And last but not least, these 4 things, key things apply பண்றணும் அப்படின்றது CUMIG and our very humble request. Number 1 is share whatever information you get, share among the people you know. யார் யாருக்கு ரெலவெண்டா இருக்குமோ அவங்கள்ட்ட போய் சேருங்க. இது நம்மளுக்கு வந்து யூனிட்டி ஏற்படுத்தும். And this also engages us with the relevant stuffs that we are supposed to know. And number 4 is networking. ஸோ இது எல்லாருக்கும் வந்து நம்மளுக்கு தேவையான நெட்வொர்க்கிங்கை அது ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கலி ஏற்படுத்தி தரும். With that said, one last thing I would like to remind whoever you guys are in matriculation right now, please welcome to join this matriculation Telegram group that we have புதுசாக ஓப்பன் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். ஸோ இங்கே வந்து அகெயின் நான் சொல்லியிருந்த மாதிரி இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் பிரிட்ஜாக தான் இந்த டெலிகிராம் குரூப்பை நாங்கள் பார்க்குறோம். ஸோ இதில் மெட்ரிகுலேஷன் அகாடமிக் நோட்ஸாக இருக்கட்டும், எக்ஸாம் பேப்பர்ஸ், பாஸ் இயர் பேப்பர்ஸ், CUMIG ஷார்ட்ஸ் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு அது ஒரு நியூ அப்ரோச். By trying to do as much as we can to guide you guys throughout the process. All right. With that said, I hope இன்னைக்கான செஷன் MSAT எப்படி ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்ணுறது உங்களை MSAT அப்படின்னு சொல்லும்போது மெடிசன் மெடிசனுக்கான அந்த ஒரு ரிக்வயர்மெண்ட் டெஸ்ட்டை எப்படி அப்ரோச் பண்ணுறது அப்படின்றதுக்கான கைடன்ஸ் கொடுக்க ஸ்பீக்கர் இன்னைக்கு இருக்காங்க. ஸோ we'll proceed with that. Back to you, Anisha. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Senior. CUMIG பத்தி ரொம்ப அழகா எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணீங்க. And before we proceed to our session today, I would like to welcome all the students who joined today for this meeting. And without further ado, I would like to welcome our first speaker. To talk about him, he is now currently a first-year medical student in Universiti Malaya. Also, he is an alumni from College Matriculasi Negeri Sembilan. And with that, I would like to welcome Senior Sharwin Anna to come join the meet to give a talk about MSAT and give his insights about it. Senior?
Hi, thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, Senior, clearly.
Right, hold on. Let me present my screen. All right, can you all see my slides?
Yes, Senior, clear.
Okay. எல்லாருக்கும் வணக்கம். Thank you, CUMIG, for inviting me to give this talk. I think they've already introduced me good enough. I'm Sharon Vigneswaran, a year one medical student at University Malaya. I did my primary and secondary education at Methodist Boys School, KL, and I'm alumni of Negeri Sembilan Matriculation College. So today I'm here to share with all of you about the MSAT application process and its preparations. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so for today, we'll cover three main topics, which is the registration process, the format, and the deep dive. Okay, so before that, can I ask, is it okay if I proceed in English, in fully English, or Tamil konja, should I mix it?
Yes.
All right, okay, thank you. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Also, I cannot see the chat box, so you all just put your questions there. We can answer it later towards the end of the session, okay? So let's see, what is MSAT? Okay, MSAT stands for Medical Students Admission Test. So this is a test introduced by Universiti Malaya to as a prerequisite entrance test for all the candidates who want to apply for their Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery program, or MBBS as we call it for short. Before this, it was known as BMAT, but they have recently changed it to MSAT, and I think you guys would be the third or fourth batch who would sit for this exam. Now, this test is a 2-hour, 40-minute computer-based test, meaning that it will be fully online and it consists of 3 different sections of MCQ questions. All right, now let's look to the registration process. Okay, so I'm sure many of you all may have known that registration has already opened on the 1st of December this year, but it is a really long registration period, so don't worry if you've not registered yet, because the closing date is only on the 16th of January next year. So you've still got about 18 days left, but it's at 12 p.m. Yeah, don't forget. Now you can register at the website below, msat.um.edu.my. You can even type it out on Google. It'll be the first website to appear. If we look from terms of fees, there are 2 ways that you can sit for this test, which is either you come to UM directly and do it in UM's computer labs, or you do it at your own venue, so either at home or at your college or wherever you prefer. But the fees vary a lot. If you decided to do it at UM, it will be about 400 ringgit. And if you decide to do it at your own venue, it will be about 700 ringgit. These are the prices for Malaysians. There's a separate list of prices for foreigners. All right, so this is the test information. The test will be conducted from the 24th to the 27th of February 2026, which is from Tuesday to Friday. There are 2 sessions per day, which is 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and the 12 p.m. to 2:40 p.m., except on Friday, because you have to make way for the Friday prayers. And as I said, the venue, there are 2, which is UM's computer labs or your own venue. All right. So candidates can choose, and they must choose, one preferred date, which is either the 24th, the 25th, the 26th, or the 27th of February. But if you choose to sit for it via remote proctoring, or which is at your own venue, you may only choose the 24th or the 25th. So do be mindful of this, those who are deciding to sit for it at your own venue. And candidates who have sat for the MSAT Malaysia 2026 can apply to enter UM's MBBS program through UPU Online or the UM Open Channel, which is the direct intake. Okay, so these are some other requirements. All of these are from the website. I've just taken it from there. I'm sorry if it's a bit too small, but you can see we have different requirements for matriculation for STPM as well. There are others which are like foundation and A-level, but I've not put those in. I've just put the most relevant ones. So as you can see, it's about a PNGK of not lesser than 3.8 and at least a minus in biochem, and these are for matriculation, and at least an A minus in SPM for biochem physics, maths or ed maths, and English. As for MUET, you need a band 4.0 and above. I think for matriculation, most of you has set for your MUET test, correct? Okay. And below, I think you can ignore that. That's for the interview. So basically, once you're set for the test and you've applied for the MBBS program through UPU or the UM's direct intake, they will notify you whether you are successful in securing a spot for the interview. Okay, but let's think about that later on. Now it's all about MSAT. Okay, so MSAT format. So the MSAT, as I said, is a 2-hour, 40-minute computer-based test, all right, fully online, which consists of 3 sections of MCQ questions. Now, what are the sections? The first section, critical reasoning. The second section, quantitative reasoning. And the third section, interpersonal understanding. So don't worry, we'll cover each of the sections in depth later on, okay? I prepared some example questions with answers as well, which we'll go through towards the end of the session. Okay, so section 1 is critical reasoning. There are 36 questions, which are MCQ questions, and the timing for this section is 50 minutes. Section 2, quantitative reasoning, is also 36 MCQ questions, but the timing for this section is 1 hour. And the last section, section 3, interpersonal understanding, also 36 MCQ questions, and the timing for this is 50 minutes. So total, it will be 2 hours and 40 minutes. All right, so let's see what actually these sessions consist of. Part 1, critical reasoning. Usually you have a long text which is provided. So it could be a paragraph of maybe up to 20 lines or even as short as 5 to 10 lines. And you would have to read, analyze, and decipher the text. So don't worry, it's not going to be in riddles or whatever. It's just to read between the lines, not superficially. Okay, and understand what the text is actually trying to convey to you. You have to possess an excellent attention to detail to properly understand the text and the following questions. So it's something similar to your MUET reading test. Okay, part 2 is the quantitative reasoning. Okay, for me, when I sat for the exam, I thought this was the most difficult part because it involved calculations. So don't get me wrong, it's not going to be like your ad maths and all that, you know, because you're not allowed to bring in a calculator. You can only bring in 2 sheets of plain white paper, A4 paper, and a pencil, or a whiteboard and a marker. So these questions come under the category of analytical questions, which require you to think outside of the box. And you only have a short amount of time because, as I said, it's 36 questions and only 1 hour for this section. So try your best to decipher. If you can't do it, just skip and you can come back to it later, okay? Okay, and section 3, the last section, interpersonal understanding. So this is actually based off of the situational judgment test, which is where the questions are based on a scenario, dialogue, or any other question that specifies interpersonal situations, meaning relationships and emotions between 2 or more people. There is an emphasis on empathy in these questions, which is to understand someone's emotions and to provide the necessary support in your answers. You have to exhibit excellent EQ, which is emotional quotient, and be able to properly decode the complexities of human emotions. So one might question, why is this important for a medical seat entrance exam? It's important because as doctors, you are going to need a doctor to patient relationship, which is a human to human relationship. So you're not only going to treat another person, but it's going to be another human being, which is why they put a lot of emphasis into this relationship and emotional readings, even in the entrance test itself. Okay, so I think this is the section that most of y'all must have been awaiting for, which is the sample questions. So without further ado, let's go. All right. So I prepared about 3 questions for every section. The first section is the critical reasoning one. Okay. So we're not going to go through the whole passage, but I will give you about 30 seconds to read through the passage. Okay. Okay. Has everyone read the text? All right. So let's press. Okay, so if you can see in this text, right, at the bottom there, they have put the meaning for one of the words previously. So sometimes they do have meanings for difficult words or words that they assume most of the candidates might not know. Okay, so this might be helpful for you in your answers. All right, okay. Question 1. 1 week after beginning to see, the man A. Related shapes directly to visual images. B. Formed visual impressions of shapes indirectly. C. Recognized shapes by associating them with color. And D. No longer relied on his sense of touch to recognize shapes. So what do you guys think the answer is? Can y'all just spam it in the chat box, whether it's A, B, C, or D? Okay, I've joined my phone. So a few of y'all have chosen B. B, all right. Okay, any other answers? Let's open the floor for 10 more seconds. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so let's go through the answers one by one, all right? Okay, the first one, related shapes directly to visual images. Is that really mentioned in the text? Okay, so he was shown an orange a week after beginning to see, right? So this is what we are going to look at. Said it was gold. When asked what shape, let me touch it and I will tell you. Okay, he said it was an orange. Then he looked long and said, yes, I can see that it is round. So we can see that he didn't really get that it was round at first, right? He just assumed that it was an orange. Let's see next. He was shown a blue square. He said it was blue and round. A triangle he also described as round. And only when they were pointed out that there were angles on the shapes, he said, yes, I understand now and I can see how they feel. So obviously, he had not really developed that knowledge of shape, right? So we can assume that related shapes directly to visual images is wrong. What about formed visual impressions of shapes indirectly? He did not, it's not really mentioned in the text. We can see that he's just like tembaking and saying that it's round, that the square was round and the triangle was round, right? But what about recognizing shapes by associating them with color? Not really, right? They were two different colors, but he said no. And what about no longer relied on his sense of touch? He still did feel around the objects, right? It's mentioned there. So the answer is B. All right, do y'all understand? I think most of y'all got this correct. Yeah, Yes, you may ask the question, Vignesh. You can open your mic or you can type it in the chat box. Okay, I think we can wait for the question later. Let's proceed with question 2 first, yeah? Okay. The man's mistake about the square, lines 4 and 5 suggests that. So they have specifically told us it's line 4 and 5. Let's just go through the answers first. A, his vision was still impaired. B, he could not make full use of visual clues. C, idea or shape was meaningless for him. And D, color made the shape perception more difficult. Okay, so as you can see, the answers here are a bit more complex. They're not really direct. But let's see which line specifically they're talking about, okay? Sorry. Okay, line 4 and 5 is this one. They're shown a blue square. He said it was blue and round. Okay, so the man's mistake about the square. What do y'all think the answer is? Can y'all put in the chat box? Okay, we have 1C, D, C. All right, open it for 10 more seconds. All right, okay. We have a mix of answers, mostly C, a few Bs and 1D. Okay, let's go. So the man's mistake about the square suggests that A, his vision was still impaired. Not really, right? Because he knew what color it was. So A is obviously wrong. He could not make full use of visual clues. What is the visual clue here? What is it suggesting? It's the object, right? The orange, the triangle, and the square object that's handed to him. He could not make full use of it. Kind of correct, right? Because he assumed both the square and triangle were round. C, the idea of shape was meaningless for him. This is a bit too far-fetched, right? Because he did guess that the orange was round. So we can assume that C is wrong. And D, color made shape perception more difficult. Do you all really think so? I don't think so, right? Because she knew it was blue and the triangle was the other color. So we assume that D is wrong and the answer is B. So as you can see, the technique we used here is more of trial and error, where you try to choose the answer that you feel is suitable and just read it aloud with the question. If it sounds weird, then just cancel it off. Once you cancel, you will try to get B. All right, I knew it was B. I'll try again, but guys, y'all don't have to call me so. Okay, I'm like 1 year older than y'all, please. Okay, so everyone good? Can we proceed with the next question? Maybe y'all could react with a thumbs up. All right, okay, let's go to the next question. All right, so this is another form that they can ask you in this section, which is a cutout of a comic or comedy strip. So let's see, yeah. Survivors of near flu experiences. I felt achy and awful. Then suddenly it went away. I thought I was getting a chill, but as it turns out, it was just cold. I asked myself, am I a tiny bit nauseous? 5 minutes later, I felt just fine. So this is an example of a comedy strip. It could be a few dialogues like this or just a few array of images. Okay, the cartoon is a joke about people's A, diverse reaction to common symptoms, B, limited knowledge of medical conditions, C, tendency to overreact and be self-centered in matters of health, and D, tendency to self-diagnose in spite of access to professional expertise. So what do you guys think the answer is? Okay, A, B, A, all right. C, did I hear C? Okay, a lot of A's. All right, so can we proceed? For this one, it's not really about a wrong answer, a right answer. It's mostly about which one is the single best answer, meaning it stands out among the rest. So let's see A, diverse reactions to common symptoms. There are a lot of reactions, right? But it's mostly them just like talking about their experiences. So let's keep that at the side first. Limited knowledge of medical conditions. Can we assume that? Can we assume that they don't have they have limited knowledge on this? Okay, that's also another assumption. So guys, another thing about these questions, don't jump to conclusions or don't assume that, oh, they are like this, they thought like this. Try to think from the perspective of um the maker of the question and how he would have liked you all to answer it. Okay, C, tendency to overreact and be self-centered in matters of health. We can see, right, a bit of overreacting. I felt achy and awful, suddenly went away. I thought I was getting a chill, but it was just the cold weather. And then this guy is like, am I nauseous? But 5 minutes later, he was just fine. So yeah, C is a probable answer, right? And D, tendency to self-diagnose in spite of access to professional expertise. From a distant view, right? All four answers look correct. But the single best answer is actually C, which is the tendency to overreact. Like it was just cold weather and the guy thought he was getting the chills. It was 5 minutes of a bit of nauseousness and he was like, oh, what's wrong with me, right? So they were actually overreacting. So these questions might look hard and tricky, but the thing is, just go with your gut feeling and just choose the answer that you feel is the best. Okay, you don't need to overthink and overanalyze the questions too much. Okay, is everyone good? All right. Okay. I think this is the last question for section 1. When men lack a sense of awe, there will be disaster by Lao Tzu. So this statement suggests that A, disaster is inevitable. B, awe inspires caution. C, awe encourages confidence. And D, carelessness leads to disaster. So what do you guys think the answer is? I think this is not that tricky, right? It's very straightforward. Okay, we've got D, B. It kind of like a Lao Tzu, bro. B, okay. So let's see what the answer is, okay? But let's go through it one by one. So disaster is inevitable. In what statement did it mention that? It just said when they lack a sense of awe, there will be disaster. It didn't say there's going to be disaster all over, right? So A is definitely wrong. It's very misleading. B, awe inspires caution. So it might be correct, right? Because it's saying when they don't have a sense of awe, when they lack awe, there's going to be disaster. So if they have awe, they're going to be caution. They're going to be more proactive and avoid any future disasters, right? So yeah, it might be B. Okay, let's see C. Awe encourages confidence. There is no mention of confidence in this statement at all. So C is definitely wrong. And D, carelessness leads to disaster. Again, there is no mention of carelessness at all. So D is definitely wrong, and the answer is B. So good job. I think most of y'all got this right. Okay, you meant to be. All right. So, are there any questions for the section one, critical reasoning, before we proceed to section two? No, no questions. All right, okay. I think I forgot to mention this earlier, but many of you might be assuming that this entrance exam is medical based or that the questions are based on your knowledge of biology. It's actually not. There is nothing to do with biology or your physics or whatever. It's just general knowledge and again, how you deal with human emotions and a bit of maths here and there to see your analytical response. Okay, so don't worry, you don't have to read up or revise your SPM bio or your matrix bio. Okay, all right. How hard is quantitative reasoning? Okay, yeah, that's what we'll do later on. So it's not really that hard. You can see it in the questions later. Okay, all right. Let's see section two. Yes, Govin, do you have a question? Raise your hand. Okay, it's fine. We'll proceed with section two, interpersonal understanding. As you can see, this is an even longer passage. It's almost 30 sentences long, 30 lines long. Which is why you have to go through it fast. Not just skim through, actually read and understand, but don't spend too long on the text, all right? Okay, so always read the stimulus on top. Never skip it. If you skip this, right, you are going to understand whatever story this is, but you're not going to get the beginning context of it. So just spend a second reading it. The following passage is from a novel. Paul is a 60-year-old man whom has had a leg amputated as the result of being hit by a car while riding a bicycle. So a prosthesis is an artificial limb. Okay, so I'll give you about a minute to read and digest this text, all right? Okay, is everyone good? Have they read the text fully? Can I get a thumbs up? All right, okay, let's proceed. Okay, in context, Dr. Hansen's assertion that losing a leg isn't the end of the world, line 9. So I've put the clipping of line 9 above. So what does it show? Does it show impatience? Is it an attempt to encourage optimism? Does it show that he thinks Paul is being self-indulgent, or is it meant to conceal the hopelessness of Paul's situation? What do you guys think the answer is? Come on, guys, spam in the chat. I saw a B. All right, you want to feel Paul. Calm about the prostatitis. Okay, okay. Any other answer other than B? D. All right, Pavina. Why do you think it's D? Can you just put like a short one sentence reasoning? All right, okay. Let's just go through the answers one by one, yeah. So, his assertion that losing a leg isn't the end of the world, A, shows impatience. Let's read the whole dialogue again. That's fine, he says. It's not a prosthesis we're talking about anyway. That is still down the line. This is just rehabilitation, but we can start tomorrow or the next day. Just so you can see it isn't the end of the world losing a leg. In what word does it show impatience, right? So obviously A is wrong. B is an attempt to encourage optimism. Yes, we can say that, right? Because so you can see it isn't the end of the world. He's trying to show that there is a positive outcome from wearing the prosthesis. So B is could be an answer. Case C shows that he thinks Paul is being self-indulgent. Again, no. There is no negative aura or vibe that you can feel from the sentence. So C is wrong. And D, meant to conceal the hopelessness of Paul's situation. So there isn't again a mentioning that his situation is hopeless, that there's nothing that he can do. So we can assume that D is wrong, therefore the answer is B. Okay? Did y'all get it? Get it? All right, okay. Let's proceed with the next text. So usually these texts have about 2 or 3 sub questions below them, but I'm not taking everything because we don't really have much time. I'm just taking a few short questions and their passages. Okay, so this short passage about a mother of a disabled child, about how she speaks regarding her early experiences, about people's reactions toward her child. So I'll give you about a minute to read. All right, okay. Everyone done reading? Let's proceed with question 8. The mother assumed that people did not mention the hearing aids because they A. were too distracted by Jane's dress, B. felt uncomfortable raising the topic, C. were trying to be sensitive towards her feelings, and D. did not think they were important enough to mention. So, if we look back, A. were too distracted by Jane's dress. They did mention, what a pretty dress, but we can't assume, right, that they are too distracted by the dress and it's not really further supported other than that one dialogue. So we assume that A is wrong. Okay, B, felt uncomfortable raising the topic. This could be an answer, right? Because of course, when you see a baby with a hearing aid, that's an uncommon sight, and you don't want to offend the mother by asking her a question. So B is a possible answer. C, we're trying to be sensitive towards her feelings. Yeah, it could be an answer too, right? Because as you can see, the mother Jane does look quite unhappy, and she looks a bit nervous about bringing her child out in public. So that could have been displayed on her face. So they were trying not to make her more uncomfortable. And D did not think they were important enough to mention. That is obviously wrong as well, because it is quite a big matter for a baby to wear hearing aid, right? So D is also obviously wrong. But if you were to compare between B and C, felt uncomfortable and trying to be sensitive, both seem like very appropriate answers, correct? But in the end, we would still go that B is the right answer because it just makes more sense to fit in. The mother assumed, we read the question again. The mother assumed that people did not mention the hearing aids because they felt uncomfortable. As you can see, right, this is a negative connotation. You can see from the last line of the stimulus, the text, forget the dress. Why don't you say something about the hearing aids? She's already quite negative, like, just say something like about my daughter, right? And the answer C is a very positive answer that they're trying to understand her feelings. Obviously, she's not going to think that because she already has these negative thoughts and impressions in her mind. That is why we choose B as the most suitable answer. Okay, do you all get how we came down to B and not C? Yeah, could I put a thumbs up if y'all get it? Or if y'all don't, I could explain again. Okay, let's proceed with the next question. All right, so this another short text. I'll give you about 30 seconds to read it. Okay, so the shopkeeper is most likely feeling A, rejected. He could feel that because, as they have said, innumerable diamond rings, meaning many. He has shown this guy ring after ring after ring, and he has not wanted any of them. And even the last one, he said, lucky I don't have to get married every year, meaning too pricey, right? Meaning if you can't afford it, why are you here? So he's not feeling rejected. It's more like he's shocked. He's shocked at the man's behavior. So let's go to B, belittled. Belittled is when someone offends you and you feel hurt. I don't think the shopkeeper feels hurt that this guy can't afford his rings, right? So B is out of the question. C, bewildered. He's like shocked that, oh, you know that you cannot afford a diamond ring. Then why are you here? And you can even say that's why he was sarcastic, right? Maybe you'd like to see something in macaroni and spray paint. That's something rude to say to a customer, but it shows that he was quite like desperate, mad, and even tired maybe after showing the guy all his rings. That's when we go to D, exasperated. So exasperated is when you feel intensely irritated. Now, if you compare C and D, which one seems like the more appropriate answer? Could I have it in the chat box? D, right? Because he's intensely irritated and it is supported through his last statement of sarcasm towards the customer. Therefore, the answer is D. Okay. So this is the last question for section 2. Do you all have any doubts on the section? Any doubts, any questions? No, all right, okay. Basically, for this section, you just have to read, understand, and read and understand the text, and you go through every question and its answers and see whether the answers fit what the question is really looking for. There will be multiple answers that look like it's all correct, but again, it's the single best answer. All right. Okay, now let's move on to the last section, section 3. I think the most awaited section as well, quantitative reasoning. Let's see whether it's really the AdMaths nightmare all over again or not. Okay. Okay, there's a question here. Our solar system is composed of 9 planets that travel around the star we call the sun. Figure 1, all right, quite clear, indicates the relative sizes and their orders from the sun. Table 1, it's in the next slide, provides further information about the planets. Okay, and they've provided you a few key points or the definitions of a few of the terms here, okay? This is the table that they were talking about. Again, it looks like something from physics, right? A lot of data, planet, the mean distance, diameter, number of moons, average orbital speed. Okay. Which one of the following statements is supported by the data? A, day length increases as distance from the sun decreases. B, orbital speed increases as year length decreases. C, diameter increases as orbital speed increases. And D, year length decreases as diameter increases. Okay, I couldn't really fit the table, and so I'll just go back to the previous slide. You guys can try to compare and see, and which one you think is the most appropriate answer. Can y'all see, or if y'all are done, maybe y'all could take a screenshot of this table. Then I'll bring you back to the question and its answer choices. Okay. All right. So which one do y'all think it is? A, B, C, or D? Okay, someone said A. This is also quite straightforward. Um, it's a bit hard now because you don't have the table with you. D. Mm-hmm. Any other answers, guys? Only 3 of y'all have answered. Robert, Kirti, and Ewan. Another A, all right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. B, okay. Okay. So let's see which one is the correct answer, yeah. Day length, but you go through it one by one, don't worry. So A, day length increases as distance from the sun decreases. Okay, day length increase, distance from sun decrease. Let's see, where is the distance from the sun? It's here, right? And day length. So they said as the, what was it? They said as the day length increases, the distance decreases. So the day length, we can see the highest one is here, right? 5832 hours, and the distance is 108. And as it decreases, as the length of the hours decrease 1418, okay, it is going 58. This is reducing as well. Just now, when this increases, this reduces, right? But you can see that when the length of the day increases, even the mean distance increases. So automatically, A is wrong. KB, orbital speed increases as the year length decreases. Orbital speed, where is it here? Orbital speed increases as the year length decreases. So 0.62 to 0.24 decrease, right? And 35 to 48. So there is an increase. So there is a chance that B could be correct. C, diameter increases as orbital speed increases. Diameter increases as orbital speed increases. Increase. This is an increase, right? 12.1K to 12.76K. But the orbital speed is decreasing pula, 35 to 30. So automatically C is wrong as well. And finally D, year length decreases as diameter increases. Year length, yeah, decreases as the, what was it? Diameter increases. Diameter increase, year length increase as well. So again, D is wrong. So the answer is B. Okay, I think most of you all got it correct, right? B. Okay, let's move on to the second one. Which of the following statements is best supported by the data? Planets further from the sun travel faster and have shorter days. Is it true? Further from the sun travel faster and have shorter days. So let's compare these two, all right? This is further compared to this. Do they travel faster? No. And their day length is shorter. So again, that is wrong. B, planets closer to the sun travel faster and have shorter days. Okay, this is the opposite, right? Travels faster. I mean, it's closer, faster, shorter days. Again, we can compare these two. This closer, faster, but the day, is it longer? No, it's actually even longer than the one that is further from the sun. So again, B is wrong. KC, planets with longer days travel slower and are closer to the sun. Planets with longer days travel slower and are closer to the sun. Closer to the sun, do they have longer days and do they travel slower? This is closer, but it travels much faster, right? Compared to 108. It does have shorter days, but travels faster. So C is wrong as well. And therefore, the answer is D. Okay? So you can use this sort of try and error, but you can cancel off the answers before you come to the best one. Okay, any questions for this part? Can we take 5 that we invent? All right. After this, if you are done with this, then we can take a 5-minute break before we get back to the other two last questions. Okay, but any question for these two? Any doubts? Anything? You're good. Put a hands up, and we can have a short 5-minute break, and we can come back around 9:15. Okay. Um, can I explain how the first year feels like in UM? Oh, okay. Do you want me to explain that now, or because I think some of them have gone for a break? Maybe I could explain that once you're done with the questions, Divian. Is it okay? Okay, it's 9:15. Can everyone come back? We have only 2 more questions to go to. Can I see a thumbs up if all are back? Just spam whatever emojis. Okay, all right. Okay, let's proceed with this question now. Um, this is again another table with a bit of numbers and a bit of information. So let's go through it, right? When fighting bushfires, a major problem for firefighters is dealing with the heat. Heat enters, leaves, or is produced in a firefighter's body by the following processes: radiation, which is the heat from the fire and sun; conduction or convection, body heat is carried away to the surrounding air; metabolism, the heat is produced itself in the firefighter's body; and evaporation of sweat, where heat is removed. Okay, in the study, yada yada yada. Okay, so average results for the firefighters in 2 groups where they are nearby a fire and they're not near a fire. In terms of radiation, conduction, metabolism, and evaporation, as you can see, they have left the evaporation for the firefighters who are not near the fire empty with a question mark, okay? The amount of sweat that evaporates is the amount that is required to keep the body's temperature constant. Example, the sum of gains and losses will be 0. Note that no value is given for the evaporation of sweat. Okay, that's what we have noted just now. For the firefighters where there's no fire nearby. And although Table 1 provides average results, assume that is applied to any individual firefighter, although some processes can transfer heat to or from the firefighter. This unit in Table 1 refers to net gains or losses of heat by each process, so use the figures given. So again, they're telling you, don't assume, oh, what about this reason? What about that external factor? Just think about what is given in your stimulus and question. Okay, when building a fire break, the body of a firefighter loses heat by radiation, gains heat by conduction. Gains heat by radiation, loses heat by conduction, loses heat both by radiation and conduction, and gains heat both by radiation and conduction. Um, can y'all just take a screenshot of the table? Hold on, let me try to bring it there. Okay, now you have the table right above the question. Okay, so few of y'all have answered. I'll open it up for another 10 more seconds, and then we can go through it. Maybe a okay, let's go through it. A loses heat by radiation and gains heat by conduction. Okay, which is building a fire break, right? So loses heat by radiation. No, they gain, right? And gains heat by conduction. No, they lose. So obviously A is wrong. Okay, B gains heat by radiation, loses heat by conduction. Yep, gain heat, lose heat. So B is correct. But again, always double check with the remaining answers. C Losers heat both by radiation and conduction. No, one's a gain, one's a loss. C is wrong. And D, gains heat both. No, again, one gain, one loss. D is wrong, so your answer is automatically B. Okay, it's pretty straightforward, right? No maths involved yet, just data analysis. Okay, this is another question. And again, all of these, they are really long sometimes. But let's go through it, okay? Figures 1 and 2. Okay, 1, 2. Provide some information about a model of relationship between leg length capital L, stride length capital S, and speed small v of various animals. For any individual, stride length and speed can vary, but leg length is fixed. So figure 2 relates the relative stride length to a parameter known as the Froude number, the line of best fit. All right, this one was obtained from individuals traveling at various speeds of a number of four-legged and two-legged species animals. Also shown are 3 points based on values obtained from individuals of 3 species. And they've given you some units of meters, meters per second, and g is the gravitational acceleration. Okay. If an animal has relative stride length of more than 2, okay, relative stride length more than 2, meaning anything above 2, right? So let's just mark 2 here. It is considered to be running. Which of the individual animals shown in figure 2 was running? This pretty easy, right? Just draw a line and you can see that the elephant is above the line and the rhinoceros is above the line. So the answer is D. Pretty easy, right? Any questions on how we did this? No questions? All right. Next one. For the line of best fit, again referring to this graph, what is the approximate ratio of relative stride length to Froude number? So they're asking you to compare the y-axis, relative stride length, to the x-axis, Froude number. Okay, so how do we do this? All right. So first we draw a line. You can draw any line either from 2 or 3 or 4. Okay, and connect it to the line of best fit. You can start from you can start from Y or X, but assuming we start from Y, right, number 2, it touches the line of best fit here. Straight away, draw a line connecting it to the X-axis at the bottom. Okay, so it joins perfectly at 1. So the ratio of relative stride length to Froude number, meaning y over x. So it is 2 against 1. Assuming you were to do 4, okay, 4 would be somewhere here. If you go down, it's 2. So 4 over 2, you simplify, it's still 2 over 1. So the answer is, right, the answer is C. So you might be confused if you didn't know that it was y over x, you might do x over y. So again, just read the question correctly. Any doubts on how we got the ratio? Any questions? I don't think so, right? This is pretty straightforward. All right, let's proceed. So that is the end of section 3, quantitative reasoning. I hope all of y'all I hope this was enlightening to show that it's not that hard, okay? You're not really going to need your calculator and all that. It's basic maths. You just have to read it correctly and don't get too overwhelmed by the data shown. Okay, so any questions now regarding section 1, 2, or 3 before we proceed towards the end? Yeah, someone has raised their hand. Sure, just open your mic and ask the question. You're bad maths. No, that's the thing. I think even y'all could see from the questions, right? Not it's not really even maths. It's basic things like ratio and just drawing the lines, analyzing the graph. So don't worry, it's not gonna that's why even they have put it in their rules that you do not need a calculator for the section. Save percentile. Okay, let's cover that towards the end. Okay, let's just go through some extra tips now. These are personally from me. Okay. Tip number one, build a positive attitude beforehand. So, I know many of y'all might must have had a different presumption of MSAT before this, or even now. You might be thinking, "Oh God, this is like a super hard exam," or what your seniors might have told you. But coming from me, as a person who, the most recent batch who sat for this test, I can tell you that it's really not that hard. There's nothing to be afraid of. So the one important thing that I realized between me and some of my peers who didn't really score well for the exam is that they were really stressed up, right? They were really stressed up. They already had this presumption in their mind that, oh, MSAT is super hard. It's like harder than PSPM lah, it's harder than STPM lah, this, that. So you should not have a negative attitude. Always have a positive attitude. Build it from now. Okay, just psych yourself up. Okay, we're gonna sit for exam in February. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be okay. If you can, if I could do it, if my seniors and batchmates could do it, I'm definitely sure that y'all can do it as well. Okay. Tip number two, get a good night's rest. Why is this very important? I know many of y'all like might study really late before an exam, but thing is there's nothing to study for this test. So I assume that there's no excuse to not get a good night's sleep. Why is this really crucial is so that, as you may have seen from the sample questions earlier, many of them are really, really long texts, even up to 30 lines. So can you imagine if you're there for 2 hours and 40 minutes and you're just clicking on the computer and you are expected to read that while staring at the screen for so long without feeling sleepy? I know it sucks, right? So can you imagine if you did not get a good night's sleep before that? It's terrible. So please, please, please get at least 8 hours, 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours of sleep. All right. Okay. Don't go on an empty stomach. This is really important as well because I know some of y'all might not eat before test, saying that it might make y'all sleepy and this and that. But it is really important because even you saw the morning slot is quite early, right? 8:30, and the afternoon slot is at 12. It's right at lunchtime. So please at least have a snack, a bun or whatever before coming in because you're going to be there for 2 hours and 40 minutes and you don't want to feel hungry, your stomach like rumbling and grumbling so the whole room can hear you because you cannot go out. I think you can only go out for a toilet break if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure we can go in between or not because the timer will just keep running. Okay, so please eat before you come in. All right, tip number four, read the questions thoroughly. I think I've been emphasizing this again and again throughout this whole session. Don't skip. Even if you feel you have no time, just at least skim through if you have no time to read it in depth because it's really important. As you saw, some of the clues might just be that one or two words in the whole text. And the last one, if you can't answer, skip first. You can come back later. Why am I saying this? For our year, the way the system was, they will go section by section with a timer displayed at the front of the class. And on your computer, you have the question numbers displayed on the top, 1 to 36, right? Assuming you have answered question 1, the box from yellow, it will turn blue or something like that. It will turn to a different color. So to notify you that you have answered that question. So don't worry about missing it out because if you skip that, you can still come back before the timer ends, okay? Assuming you can't do question 2, just proceed with 3, 4, 5 first. You might have more clarity when you come back later on. Okay, so those are the few tips from me. thank you very much for listening and good luck to all of you. So I would think I'll answer a few questions in the chat box first. Okay, Nimlan has asked, what is the safe percentile for MSAT? There is not really a safe percentile. Some of y'all may have gone on the official website. There's nothing mentioned there as well, because there is no safe percentile. But between us, what I have asked from seniors and all that, right? Most of them will tell you it is you're in the safe zone as long as you get above 50 percentile, and that is the thought that I went in as well. But even if you get below 50, don't worry, because there are a few people in our batch who have scored below 50, but most of them have scored above 50. So just try to aim for that. You don't really have to aim, just go in, do your best, and come out with a full heart knowing that you've tried and given it your all. Okay. Okay, Tanusri, I got a B plus for my physics and chemistry. Can I still sit for MSAT? Um, this is for SPM, I'm assuming you got B plus. If we look at the, hold on. We look at the extra requirements here that I showed you just now. For your SPM, they want at least an A minus in all your science subjects. So what I could advise you is maybe you could resit for those papers and try to aim higher, because you can still sit for MSAT, but I don't think you can apply for MBBS with the B plus. I think you have to can I still sit for MSAT? Yeah, I think you still have to resit for it and get at least an A minus for you to be eligible to apply for it. Because assuming you're applying in UPU, right, you put it as your first choice, that choice will be burnt because you did not meet the necessary requirements, which is why it's very important, guys. Please do look at all the sub requirements that are there for the courses that you're planning to apply for. I hope that answers your question, Tanusri. All right, I'm from KMKT. How much intake do you really think they take? I heard from a USM senior there's no KMKT in their batch. Okay, I can't speak for other medical universities, but as for we have students from every matriculation college, not from almost, even from Labuan, we have students there. As for Indians, yeah, we do have from KMKT, KMNS, KMS, KMJ, every state. All right, there are students. So don't worry about whatever quota or whatever. Just try your best. Okay. As MSAT required for all students who want to study medicine in other government or private universities? No. MSAT is uniquely only for the MBBS program at okay, at Universiti Malaya. If you sit for MSAT, you cannot use that results for any other universities, because other universities, they don't really have an entrance exam. It's more like a psychometric test and then interview. So MSAT is only special for Will the slides be sent in the group? Yeah, I can share it with you all in the group. What if you're not taking MBBS in If other no, okay. The MSAT test is again only required if you want to do your MBBS at You don't have to do it if you're not planning to apply for UM's medicine program. Yeah, Sapimani, I've answered your question already. I'm not sure how many students they take from every college, because if I'm speaking in terms of Indians, right, some colleges have more Indians compared to others. So there will be, assuming, for example, KMNS and KMKT, there will be more Indians who are coming from KMNS into UM's MBBS and KMKT, because of that batch has more number of students. But again, depends on your batch. And there are again students from every matriculation college. Don't worry. Does the 10% COCO marks have a huge influence for admission? I'm grinding super hard, but still nervous you might not be able to reach target of 10. Okay, COCO marks will come under UPU, right? When you're applying for your merit. You don't need a 10, right? Again, the merit consists of your academic results and your COCO results. UM is not looking, I mean, of course, everyone wants an all achiever, but you don't need to be worried that, oh, it has to be a 10. Just try to aim as high as possible. And on UPU, the calculator, right? Insert your COCO marks and just see whether you meet the required merit or not. Okay? Because the merits differ from university to university. Um, what is the total score and when will the results be out after we've sat for the test? Okay, it's not really a score. Basically, it works on a percentile, meaning how well you have scored for the test in comparison to other candidates. So assuming out of 100, your received score is 89, meaning you are 89% better than the other candidates who have sat for the test. You get it not? You're not gonna get oh you got this out of this. It's just a percentile of how well you have fared among your other peers who sat for it as well. Okay, is it really hard to get into MBBS at UM? Um, I mean, I'm not gonna lie and say it's not hard, but it's hard if you are going to think that it's hard. It doesn't make sense. Basically, what I'm trying to say is don't think and confuse yourself at this time how the interview is going to be like and all that. For now, just focus on the MSAT test, all right, and sit for it, and we'll see how you fare later on. Okay, it's not hard. Like they are actually increasing the number of seats, the medical seats year by year. So my batch has 210 of us. All right, 210 of us in total who are doing medicine in year one. And among that, 25 of us are Indians. Okay, so don't worry. It might look hard, but it's definitely very, very possible. I'm wishing to pursue a degree in biomedical engineering. Even though it's considered half bio, doesn't mean I need to sit for MSAT. No. You do not need to sit for MSAT if you are going to apply for any other course other than medicine. MSAT is again very, very uniquely only if you're applying to do the MBBS program at Universiti Malaya, not any other program, not any other university. Okay, how many Indians are there in UM? For my batch, there's 25 of us. Okay. About 5 of them are direct intake, and the rest 20 of them are from UPU. Does UM admission have a quota? I see quite a lot of Chinese. Um, okay, this is because they have allocated a certain amount of seats for direct intake students, meaning the students who pay and come in, right, to the private wing. So out of 210, I think about 85 seats are allocated for private students, and the rest are for UPU students. So it looks like there is a lot of Chinese, but it's because most of them they fill up the private wing spots. They pay and come in. So it looks like there's a lot of them. But don't worry, everything's fair. You do get a nice mix of races in the medical program. I heard they usually select about 15. Okay, so for my batch, as I said, there's about 25 Indians. And the year five, my year five batch has about 17 of them. Okay, so it's not really different, but they are increasing year by year. Okay. How does it feel like to be a first year in UM? All right. So today was actually the first day of my block two. Block two in UM medical program, we follow the block system. We don't go by semesters. So like in year one, we have about 5 blocks, and today is the first day of my block two. So it's okay. It's quite fun, I would say. it's definitely a new experience, coming from matriculation to because everything is solely dependent on you. It's self-directed learning. Of course, your lecturers are there to guide you and answer your doubts and anything. Your professors, right? Most of them are professors and doctors, but you are still going to do most of the reading up by yourself. And what differs our medical program compared to other universities? One special thing is that UM has its own hospital, right? Medical Center. So what's special is that even from year one, you're going to start going to the hospital to come under your doctors to observe how they treat patients. So you're getting that exposure, the clinical exposure from year one itself. Whereas other universities, they only offer that in year three onwards. So that's something that's special for UM's medical program. I heard that UM interviewers are extremely strict. No, not really. What they are meant to do is just to sit there with a poker face. They're not going to react to your answers. They're not going to stare at you or scrutinize you, but at the same time, they're not going to smile at you and encourage you. They're just going to be there like neutral robots, and you're just expected to talk to them for as long as the timer goes. So don't worry, they're not scary and all. And I said, just go with an open mind, but that's for another session. Let's say you pass the test. What is the next step? Okay, assuming you have gotten your MSAT results and you've applied through UPU or the direct integrate, for example, they will notify you whether you're eligible to come for the interview or not, whether you secure a spot for the interview or not. So don't worry about that. Everything will be notified to you. Probably off topic. How back the schedule for medical program? All right, you can still apply for medical you can still join your extracurricular activities as a medical student um if you're good at multitasking. So I have a few seniors who are really active in dancing and singing and learning foreign languages and this and that, but it's because they can really manage the time really well. And it's not the same for everyone. So you've got some students who just like go for classes and just join the faculty activities, and you have some who are super active and outgoing. But again, it depends on you, but it's definitely very possible. My senior got 10A plus and a 4-pointer band 5, but she didn't get MBBS. I'm so scared. Okay, as I said, it's not about how many A pluses you get or what is your how good your MUET band is. Again, is how you fare in your MSAT, right? And later, once you get called for the interview, how you fare in the interview. Because in the interview, again, this is like a sneak peek of the interview. They're not going to test you a lot on medical knowledge, or because obviously you're applying for medical school. How will you have medical knowledge, right? But again, how you gauge the question, how you answer it from a perspective of an individual and as a future doctor, because again, you are treating human lives. So how you handle the delicate human to human interaction, that relationship. Okay, so maybe some people might be very academically inclined. They don't really have the EQ. They don't really know how to set the rapport and relationship with other people, and it doesn't reflect in their answers. So even though they are super smart, okay, for example 10A plus, but they give the perception to the interviewers that they are not really capable to have a good relationship with patients. That is why they might not be selected. Okay. Yes, Robert, you may ask a question. Just spam away in the comment section. We still have a bit of time left. Wow, I've been rickrolled at an MSAT talk. Fine, I'll add that to things I got in 2025. Okay, are there any other questions? Did you get into UM by UPU? Yes, I got it. I got into UM by UPU. Means we have to do our best in MSAT and the interview. Yes, so basically, it's two stages, right? Once you have passed the MSAT stage, once you get called for an interview, it's all going to be based on this interview now, how you answer and ace that interview. But again, as I said, that is the future. Now just focus on your MSAT. There's nothing much to study. There is nothing to study at all. You saw before, everything is general knowledge and English. Just make sure you have a good night's sleep and you go with clarity and a positive mind, okay? Yeah, we just got rickrolled. Okay, any other questions about MSAT or when will the interview be held in relative to your batch? For our batch, when was the interview? This was all after Matrix. Matrix finished about end of May. I think UM's interview was pretty late. It was about June or July, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. You yeah, I got serious last SPM. Yeah. But again, it does not matter just as long as you meet the prerequisites here. Okay, your A minus in your science subjects, band 4 and above. And you see, it's not even a 4 pointer, it's just a 3.8 and above. Alright. So just to reconfirm, I can't take MBS and EM5 B plus. Yes, unfortunately, it's true. That's what they've put here. If you're still interested in applying for UM's medical program, I would suggest you resit for those SPM papers for the physics and chemistry and try to secure an A minus and above. That will make you eligible to apply. Because if you don't sit for it and you apply with these results, your UPU spot will be wasted, it will be burnt, you know. You could have put something else there, right? So yeah, it's up to you what you want to do about that. Why is there a slash between maths and add maths? Is it like an yes, correct. So let's zoom on this. Yeah. So why is there a slash between maths and add maths? It's because it's an A minus in either maths or add maths, not both. Because you know sometimes people might not have gotten A minus for add maths. It's either one. So as long as you have A minus for your biology, chemistry, physics, English, and maths or add maths, you should be good. Is there anyone with B or B plus in UM? B and B plus in what? What subject? Did I receive any scholarship along the way? I personally have not applied for any scholarships yet. Maybe next year or the following years. But yes, a few of my batchmates do have not one but multiple scholarships. You know, like Yayasan of their degree, but you know your own state, then your municipal council, your daerah, or even external scholarships. So yes, it's very possible. You can look into that before coming into the program. Yeah, if you have a B or B plus in any of the subjects, I think you won't be considered for the program because you might just be like cancelled out. You won't even be considered for the interview, you know, because you don't meet this result. So if you all want to apply, make sure you have an A minus and above for these subjects, alright? Is there a CGPA in MBBS? Yes, very much so. There is a CGPA in MBBS, but that we count it a different way. Okay? I hear if you're an STPM student, they're not checking SPM. Do you have any STPM batchmates by any chance? Yes, correct. I do have STPM batchmates. Among the Indians, I have two. Two of them are from STPM. Yeah, so it is very possible. Why they don't consider SPM for STPM is because usually STPM is much harder, right? That's why they only look at your CGPA and your grades in STPM, not really for SPM. So yeah, it is possible to get into MBBS being an STPM student. Don't worry. Any other questions, guys? Maybe about the sections? Don't worry, every of the material that I've gotten here, right, all of this are from the MSAT website. Okay. Yep. If there are no other questions, I think I would pass it back to the. Oh, okay. Wait. How long is the MSAT exam? Yeah, I have put in before. It's a 2-hour and 40-minute test. It will be run simultaneously, meaning after section 1, straight away section 2, straight away section 3. You don't have any breaks in between, okay? That's why it's a very strenuous process. So make sure you eat before you come, you go toilet, you go relieve yourself before you enter. Okay? Okay. Alright. Thank you so much. If there are any more questions, just put in the chat box. I'll reply. I'll pass it back to the CUMIG admin now.
What you know
Thank you.
about rolling down in the deep?
Thank you so much, Anna, for sharing your golden time and sharing your experiences and insights about MSAT. I hope that everybody who joined here today would get a positive impact and learn one or two things about MSAT. I hope someone would try to do the entry test and make it to MBBS in And I have a few more things to say. First things first, I hope that most of the students here already joined the matriculation champs group in Telegram. For those who haven't joined, I sent a link over here in the chat box. You guys can join now because after this is the first session. We will have another upcoming session, like the second session, which should be happening very soon. So I hope you guys can even attend that session. So more information will be given in that group. I've sent the link, just follow this link. And other than that, yes, before ending the session, I hope that you all can open your camera so I can take a few clicks for record purposes. Just a few seconds. Can you guys cooperate a bit? Video full session. Just like few seconds, I'll take a few screenshots. Thank you, Anna. Hmm, 1 minute. All right, thank you so much. And once again, thank you so much, Senior, for explaining so much about MSAT. As a host and a student, I really learned a lot today from the MSAT thing. I might not be willing to go for medicine, but it's very, very like something that I really want to try myself someday. And yeah, that's the end of this session today. Thank you so much for all the other students from STPM and also Matrix who joined today's session. Thank you, and that's it from me. Thank you, seniors.
Thank you for joining, guys. I hope this session was informational for y'all. If you have any questions, do contact me or the other CUMIG representatives in the Telegram group. I'll share the slides sooner, right? Don't worry. Good night and good luck.